Hey everyone, what's going on? Andy Brew coming at you today with a little Kingdom Hearts video. Today we're going to be talking a bit about Kingdom Hearts Recoded and its relevance moving forward in the Kingdom Hearts series. And of course, as always, there's going to be spoilers throughout this video because we will be diving into the future of Kingdom Hearts. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Kingdom Hearts Recoded. It's a game. It is a video game. In terms of story, it's definitely one of the weaker titles in the franchise, but I would also argue that this game deals with some of the deepest themes Kingdom Hearts has to offer. When it comes to the gameplay, despite being a little repetitive with the sectors and whatnot, I think it's actually pretty fun, and honestly, I think it has the smoothest use of the command deck in the series, so if you haven't played it, I definitely recommend at least giving it a shot if you're able to. Now, as I just stated, Recoded story isn't the best, mainly because it doesn't really contribute much to the overarching plot of Kingdom Hearts aside from the ending. Kingdom Hearts Recoded is a story of Mickey, Donald, and Goofy trying to debug the data worlds inside Jiminy's journal in order to unlock the truth behind a strange message that suddenly appears, and they do this using a data version of Sora. To a lot of people, Recoded just seems kind of irrelevant, and honestly, I don't blame you for thinking that. But what if I told you there's a way to reel Recoded back into the narrative? I'm not talking specifically about the story of Recoded itself, but rather certain elements of Recoded story that can definitely be used in the future. We're diving into Phase 2 of Kingdom Hearts, and we've got some pretty interesting things happening. The Guardians are searching for Sora, we learned about the existence of Quadratum, Xigbar is Lushu, there's crazy things happening in this game. And I would argue that this is probably the most interesting Kingdom Hearts has ever been. But the most exciting part for me is that alongside of Lushu, the Foretellers and the Master of Masters have been integrated back into the story. Now, I'll be real with you, I have no idea what's going to happen next. I have thoughts and theories and maybe a minutia of an idea of what to expect. But let me tell you, there is something that I would like to see. In Kingdom Hearts Recoded, we are diving into the data worlds of Jiminy's journal. What's to say we can't do the same thing with the Book of Prophecies? Let's just say for some insane reason, when Mickey goes to Scala, he ends up finding a Book of Prophecies there. Then we go back to Disney Castle, boot up that computer, plug in that USB, and start diving into the data worlds contained within the book. It would be a great way to not only make Recoded somewhat relevant again, considering Mickey and the others would be using knowledge from Recoded to approach the Book of Prophecies, but it also would be a really neat way to revisit Daybreak Town and maybe interact with data versions of certain characters from Union Cross. And I know that we already have data worlds in Union Cross, but I think this would be a cool way for the characters in the current timeline to get up to date on the events of Union Cross, and maybe even uncover some secrets from the Age of Fairy Tales that might help them later down the line. I think this would also be a cool way to tie Marluxia and Larxene back into the story, given their history with Union Cross. And not only that, but giving Ventus a much bigger role in Phase 2. And I know Ventus is currently going with Terra and Aqua in the Realm of Darkness to help find Sora, but maybe when he's out, him, alongside of Marluxia and Larxene, can dive into the data of the Book of Prophecies. In doing this, Ventus could recover the memories of his past that he lost. And now that I'm looking at it, we actually have another trio right here. How cool would it be to play as Ventus in a data Daybreak Town with Marluxia and Larxene as party members? I really think that would be interesting. Maleficent did also say in Recoded that perhaps there is a link between Jiminy's journal and the Book of Prophecies. Not meaning a direct link between the two, but simply insinuating, hey, if we could do this with the journal, who's to say we can't do the same thing with the Book of Prophecies? It's possible that Maleficent would have a reason to want to dive into these data worlds because she failed to retrieve the black box in Kingdom Hearts 3. Heck, maybe you can even go as far to say that she could attempt to pull out a data version of the black box from inside the Book of Prophecies and bring it into the real world. Is that a thing that could happen? I don't know. But even though this might sound like a rinse and repeat of Recoded, it could be a way to integrate her back into the main plot, and I'd argue that she'd actually be a bigger threat than ever if something like this were to happen, simply because this wouldn't be her first time in the Datascape, nor would it be her first time in the Age of Fairy Tales. Now, does this have to be its own separate game like Recoded? No, I don't think it has to be. But it would be a way to make elements from Recoded relevant again. Only this time, a lot more interesting considering we're dealing with the Book of Prophecies. And let's be real, data versions of the Foretellers as boss fights? Come on. You can't tell me that wouldn't be super cool. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. What do you guys think of this video? Do you want to see elements of Recoded work its way back into Kingdom Hearts? Or should we just forget about Recoded altogether? I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to drop a like on it, and don't forget to subscribe. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and until the next one, I'm Andy Brew, and may your heart